So I recently did a video about a Piccolo tuning on the ridiculous Kalium Quake bass, an instrument designed with fundamental frequencies below human hearing in mind. The tuning started at a guitar's E2, going up by fourths for E, A, D, G, C, with some interesting challenges along the way to get there if you want to check that out first. But the one question that remained was, how does this Piccolo bass's tone actually compare to that of a standard guitar's tone? So I dragged out the one guitar I still had in standard tuning, which happened to be my neglected Les Paul, for a 24 3/4 inch scale length to compare to the 37 to 40 inch scale length, with about double the tension as well. Now the guitar has 6 strings, but the Quake only has 5. So to even the playing field, we can just cut the high E on the guitar and keep the fourths interval by tuning up its B to a C. It's time for a true side-by-side comparison to hear what the Piccolo bass can actually offer. This is Kevin from Said Too Much. So what do y'all think? Were the differences what you expected? What were the factors actually causing the differences, for that matter? This is one of those tests probably more for fun than for actual scientific conclusions, with several variables shoved in there you may not have even considered, like the neck through versus the bolt-on, or the active versus passive pickups, and just the entire constructions of these guys overall. I'd say tension, gauge, and scale are still the more significant factors though. Having done some more controlled tests between them in the past, you might want to also compare. The most controlled test before this had a scale length difference of 11 inches, tuned in a baritone register. Then there's a slightly less controlled one with a 6-inch difference in a bass register, and one with a 3-inch difference in a subcontrabass register. I'll link those in the description. But the scale length disparity in this experiment was a 12 1/4 inches on that high C and 15 1/4 inches on that low E. I was surprised how much more mid-low rangier the Les Paul was. I'd forgotten how much warmer it can sound with those Alnico pickups. And a couple of you mentioned in the previous Piccolo tuning test that the Piccolo tuning almost sounds like a MIDI instrument. Going back to the original tuning of the Quake, it's crazy to think we've had open strings tuned from a little bit below C0 all the way up to a C4 now. That's 4 octaves. You could have a different octave C on each string of this bass, which gives me a particular idea. For now though, enough said.
For early video access, raw instrument tracks, and more exclusives, find our community on Patreon and consider adding your support.
Said too much.